Lil Jeff's murderer has now come up after almost a year of quiet, exposing what really transpired that day and what the cameras failed to capture.
I think I was like, damn, it's 6 out there, you know? They was crazy, bro.
The only reason Trap City Rob stood on business that day was because someone alerted him to the situation, which is something you presumably were unaware of. Who, then, really gave Lil Jeff the back door? Was the Bloodhound gang member involved? And why did the others simply watch him be shot repeatedly without ever retaliating? The killer's long-awaited confession provides answers to all of those questions and more. Let's begin. In a startling change of events, Trap City Rob, Lil Jeff's suspected murderer, revealed his perspective on what really transpired. Lil Jeff seems to have left Trap City Rob with no choice but to stand on his own 2 feet. If you haven't heard the tale yet, allow me to introduce you. Lil Jeff, Q50, and another guy from Bloodhound were out on business on June 8, 2024, in the center of Trap City. Lil Jeff and his group were seen pursuing a rival gang member in security video that was eventually made public. You can see Lil Jeff and his friends waiting for their prey while holed up in a black SUV in the video. As soon as the target was seen, Lil Jeff exited the vehicle and began firing rounds at him. The target, dressed in bright yellow shorts, dashes for cover and crashes into the porch of the building just ahead. Despite being struck once in the chest, he continued to flee for his life. When I watched Lil Jeff, dressed in gray Nike joggers and a black Nike sweatshirt, pursue his prey directly into the porch, I knew the Bloodhounds were ferocious. His friends did not accompany him for whatever reason. They fired bullets at the automobile that fell off the objective while remaining beside their own vehicle. However, things start to become interesting at this point. When Lil Jeff got close to the front porch, things took a sharp turn. The air was filled with gunfire as bullets began to explode out of the alley. Lil Jeff was in trouble, and his friends were too far away to come to his aid. They watched as someone from inside the home dumped him. From a different angle, a volley of gunfire could be heard, and Lil Jeff's friends near the black SUV didn't seem to be hiding or evading the gunshots. I think Lil Jeff was on the ground when these rounds were fired at him. His pals were all watching him be stood over. According to this, they most likely only shot a few useless bullets in the direction of the residents. They turned around, rushed back to the black SUV, and waited for the chance to retrieve Lil Jeff's corpse after realizing he had already been struck many times. The police noted many shot shells near the entrance, demonstrating that Lil Jeff was stood over as soon as he positioned himself behind the large pillar. Therefore, this point of view makes logical. Again, Lil Jeff's friends were unable to assist him in the crossfire since the pillar in front of the porch provided ideal cover. But after shooting Lil Jeff, the gunman apparently sprang off the porch and began buzzing his friends, driving them back to the vehicle. The man in the red jumpsuit, who was thought to be Q50, is seen hobbling back to the vehicle after likely taking a gunshot to the foot. A Reddit member corroborated that. I noticed this when I first watched the video. Damn, our big homie just got stood over in front of us, they said, lowering their weapons in distress. Before regaining their composure and opening fire on him, it was too late by then. However, you could see Lil Jeff fall at the conclusion of the video after he was shot in the chest almost 19 times. However, it didn't stop there. His friends rode back and picked up Lil Jeff after he was shot many times before the cops showed there. He was declared dead at the hospital when they drove his limp corpse there. That fits, according to another user, since they did mention that the man's companions dropped him off in a black SUV. I simply used Google Maps to find the location where the hit occurred, and everything makes sense. The event was most likely caught on video from this home. You can see the silver Jeep parked across from the black SUV. The black SUV that was used as the getaway vehicle is perfectly visible when you pan the map a bit. Despite keeping a low profile and keeping it cool, Trap City Rob has been very quiet about the hit, but he eventually came clean. In addition to identifying him as the shooter, his confession provided a different viewpoint on the incident, creating a flawless image that the security tape was unable to capture. Lil Jeff's murderer said in an interview with Block to Block that he's seen 6 individuals pursuing his homeboy.
Damn. Okay, so is there anything about that case you want to clear up and just touch about, bro? Because I see you got a whole different perspective.
I see the videos, I think that I was like, damn, it's 6 out there, you know? They was crazy, bro.
That's a very different viewpoint. He was aware that there were 6 individuals present, but how? That number wasn't shown in the video that went viral online, so I suppose Trap City made a mistake there. But Rob didn't brag about the counterattack, no matter how well it went. He said that he was only taking the required steps to protect his hood. Given that a rediscovered video shows Trap City Rob relaxing and taking in his surroundings on the front porch of the building where Lil Jeff was slain, it would seem that this is the case. For real, this dude is like some troll in a cave you didn't know was there until it's too late, a fan swiftly noted. Rob was praised as the Defensive Player of the Year, which is not surprising given that this is his position, and he held it down. Rob admits in the block-to-block interview that he is very aware of his surroundings, which explains why he was often on the front porch. This is especially true because Trap City Rob and his friends Black and Terror were seen continuously.
I'm conscious, bro, like, I'm in my environment, but I understand the overall, you know what I'm saying?
Scanning their left and right for any potential threats during the same interview. Chicago isn't for novices. Damn it. Drill rap is a plan against black people to battle themselves, Trap City Rob said, after sharing a peek of his critical awareness. Sadly, young black people have been duped, and as a result, they constantly bump into one another at the first sign of trouble.
Black man is very underdeveloped and undereducated in America, bro.
Ooh, not me?
No, just listen, bro. When it comes to emotional intelligence, reasoning and people getting shot over shoes and that's not being emotionally intelligent.
Many nice remarks were made about Trap City Rob's answers during this interview. Rob is what you call a grown man, one person said, while another soon followed with, "These guys are mature." Jeff ran up on some OGs as a young, foolish youngster. Jeff responded without thinking. That's what makes a mature man different from a young youngster. Jeff moved in a manner that us don't. OGs have policies and procedures. The interviewer then brought up the popular Reddit meme, which proposes that Rob should run for president with the certainty that he would win in politics, and has Rob's face pasted on Malcolm X's famous image with the tagline, "Protect the Trap." After admitting that he had seen the meme on Reddit, Trap City Rob clarified that he is not trying to gain influence online.
I don't even like it, so I don't need internet crazy. So.
Rob Trap City is very intelligent and knows that boasting about the hit would just feed the city's violent cycle. After all, every hood wants to slide for their deceased comrade, which has led to a violent fight and an unstoppable hood war. Rapper Lil Jeff said that he has been homeless since turning 18 in a previous interview about his lifestyle.
So around what age did you jump off the porch and start hanging out in the streets?
I'm saying when I came outside for real, I was like 18 type.
Okay.
I just turned like 18.
Bloodhound Lil Jeff, however, disclosed that, although jumping from the porch somewhat later than his classmates, he was used to living on the streets thanks to an older brother who informed him about its brutality, cruelty, and way of life.
But the shit I'm doing now is I've been seeing my whole life, you know what I'm saying? I told you I got an older brother. So this shit ain't nothing new for real, it's the same shit I've been seeing.
J Boogie is the name of Lil Jeff's elder brother, in case you were unaware. It's interesting to note that criminals like J Boogie were the catalyst for the feud between Drill City and Trap City that killed young street guys like Lil Jeff. You should be aware that J Boogie and Trap City Rob are about the same age. More importantly, these two were friendly with one another in the past. According to Trap City Rob's YouTube interview with Block to Block, the two hoods were formerly cool until the Bloodhounds snatched their homie's chain, and then things went south.
Fuck used to hang with them, they know what they did.
So, okay.
They know what they did.
So, okay, the Bloodhounds, y'all was cool.
Everybody that got a
that was my homie.
He stole the chain, bro. We tried like he took it. He stole my own chain.
However, if you examine carefully, you will notice that the feud goes far further than what Trap City Rob said. The murder of his cousin Zoni was the catalyst for their rivalry, at least for Bloodhound Lil Jeff. I'll give you some background. Early on in Lil Jeff's development, J Boogie was charged and imprisoned. Now that J Boogie was incarcerated, Lil Jeff's cousin Zoni, also called Z Money, took over and began acting as Lil Jeff's older brother. He helped perform his dirty job for him, giving him the prominence while playing the role of a background director. But the street relationships between Trap City and Drill City would be severed when Lil Jeff and the Bloodhound gang suffered one of the most catastrophic defeats. Zoni died on March 16, 2023. Zoni was reportedly in his vehicle on the 1300 block of East 79th Street, close to the intersection of 79th and Kid Park. He was at a dry cleaner's parking lot in the Avalon Park area. The catastrophe took place there. According to reports, a vehicle drove up to Zoni in the area and started shooting at him. Zoni was taken urgently to the medical center at the University of Chicago. Regretfully, he passed away there. Lil Jeff, who had benefited from Zoni's protection while his brother was imprisoned, was particularly saddened by the unexplainable loss of Zoni as a memorial to their slain hero. Lil Jeff and his right-hand man, Q50, would later get tattoos of Zoni's name on their bodies after the murder. The speculations about the identity of Zoni's murderer started to surface on Reddit, just as things were starting to calm down. Rumor had it that Zoni's former buddies at Trap City had backdoored him. Lil Jeff was restless and bloodthirsty, so he followed the rumors on the street and started hunting shortly after. And Lil Jeff, who always had a target in mind, was out on the street, strolling about easily, as if it were Thanksgiving Sunday. Lil Pooh, a Trap City guy who had been making fun of Zoni Z Money, was the target. Even though he knew his name was being spoken on the street, he began to appear in familiar areas and behave as if nothing was wrong. Lil Jeff, however, was not a hasty person. He always waited for his targets to lower their defenses while he planned his attack. The D-Day was April 9th, 2023. The Bloodhounds and Lil Jeff had made the decision that Lil Pooh would not be seen the next summer. But Pooh wasn't only rolled up and sprayed by Lil Jeff. Instead, like a watchdog, he waited for him outside his house. And Lil Jeff sent Lil Pooh to everlasting rest when he came home to lay his head down. Shots were heard in the 1800 block of 223rd Street at around 11:30 p.m., according to CPD. Upon their arrival, they discovered the victim, later identified as Pierre Boozer Jr., in his home's front yard, unconscious. He was shot many times before he passed away. The street knew who the main culprits were, but no one told the police anything about the hit. Soon after, Lil Jeff felt the need to make a strong statement. In an unreleased song, he made fun of Lil Pooh, implying that he had waited outside his house and captured him. You know that underscore never takes too long? Laying in the grass until he come home, he rapped, said Lil Pooh, after he had dissed. Z rumor had it that Lil Jeff never made the diss public out of respect for his Flipside partner. However, Lil Jeff wrote a tweet claiming that he had dissed Z when Lil Pooh's friend shared his photo. Lil Jeff made it clear that no disrespect against Zony Z Money would be accepted. But Bloodhound Lil Jeff did not just retreat into his shell and slide for Zony, he was hungry for more after tasting blood. Soon after, Lil Jeff was back on the streets pursuing his opponents until they met their demise. The murder of BKN Lil Rob and BKN Monty, which was seen on tape, was one of the most well-liked instances of Lil Jeff chasing after opportunities. The terrible event took place at Innovations High School, which is situated in the Lupa neighborhood. In downtown Chicago, Lil Rob and BKN Monty were leaving school for lunch at about 12:30 in the afternoon, headed toward Washington Street and Wabash Avenue. Even though the place was packed, the BKN lads were killed when two vehicles stopped, and three armed individuals got out and started shooting as soon as Monty and Lil Rob got there. Lil Rob and Monty can be seen nonchalantly approaching the elevator construction in the surveillance film, utterly unaware of the horror that lies ahead. The moment a black SUV came up from under the railroad tracks may be seen if you turn to the right. After exiting the vehicle, one individual rushed toward the youngsters and started shooting at them. The gunman fled toward Wabash and South after running back to the car after hitting the targets, then made a left turn on Madison and fled. According to CPD Deputy Chief John, two automobiles drew up and fired numerous bullets at a group of adolescent lads.
When two cars pulled up and a group of individuals exited said vehicles, fired multiple times, striking two of the teenage students of Innovations High School. These individuals were taken to Northwestern Hospital where they succumbed to their injuries.
Even though the security film showed just one vehicle pulled up for the hit, more than 10 to 15 rounds of gunfire were heard, according to witnesses, and the gunman fled in a split second. According to Muhammad Ashik, a local merchant, the gunfire sounded like firecrackers.
Like a firecracker, you know, like a something like a firecracker, you know, like a 10-15 shot. Boom, 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 boom.
A switch that sounded like explosives was most likely installed in at least one of the shooter's guns if the bullets had a firecracker-like sound. The whole city, well, not the whole city, was in sorrow after the vicious strike, because the hit's mastermind would boast about the operation immediately after the kill. First, he jumped on IG Live and began making remarks implying that he had dropped two people, adding to his body count.
If I get mad enough, will start happening. Y'all know this by now. I went for like a week, and poof. Gotta go after that one. Poof. I came back. Poof.
Many drill fans questioned why Lil Jeff pursued Lil Rob and Monty with such accuracy since he was so icy. I'll explain why. Lil Jeff's jewelry was purportedly stolen by Lil Rob and Monty. Back in the day, even though it was insulting, the lads would go online and launch a campaign of trolling and insults against the Bloodhounds. Claiming the jewelry they received was phony, the BKN lads boasted about the heist.
Tell the op.
We got like 50K, damn! That fake AP they got.
Monty and Lil Rob boasted about the reward money and displayed two watches that were taken from the victim. One of the watches was a hilarious fake iced out watch that was made to resemble an authentic AP watch. Almost immediately, a Reddit member pointed out that the GLD logo was on the clasp of the iced out watch. Plated jewelry, sometimes known as false, is the specialty of this online jewelry retailer. Lil Jeff came to Instagram Live when the news broke, asserting that no one had taken anything from him without his will. When he wasn't looking, the lads rushed out to have a look.
On my dead grandmother's head, if I'm lying, I'm down. God could come pull me out this car right now. I never took a dollar from
nothing.
A nigga said, let me take a picture, this, that, and that. I look up, the nigga then ran down. We all the way at the top of the staircase first off.
Soon after, Monty and a few BKN members would appear on the vlog of a YouTuber titled Word from the Trenches, where they boasted about the operation and frequently flaunted the watches they had stolen. Monty received a FaceTime call from Bloodhound Lil Jeff during the same vlog. Monty began the heated discussion by asking Lil Jeff, "Where the J at?" which means "where's that jewelry?" then went on to display the watch that he had taken from him. On the video, the BKN lads just insulted Lil Jeff and made fun of the whole Bloodhound. Lil Jeff also doesn't tolerate rudeness. The Chicago Police Department reached a significant milestone in their investigation and started making charges about a year after the hit. Lil Jeff and the Bloodhounds affiliate Tommy Coleman was named as the initial suspect. He was charged with 2 counts of murder after being taken into custody on the 5700 block of North Mason. James Allison, a 20-year-old man who goes as J. Bloodhound on the street, was then identified as a second suspect early this year. Before his untimely demise, rumors circulated that Lil Jeff was next on the line. When word spread that Rob had slain Lil Jeff, it should come as no surprise. That one admirer said, "Big Rob got him after he killed Lil Rob." Despite being humorous, the statement highlights the fact that the only option to escape gang violence is to die. The real question is, though, why did Reddit post a picture of Lil Jeff's corpse on Trap City Rob? The time after Lil Jeff's death, the city of Chicago was shocked by a wave of trolling on Reddit as soon as word of Lil Jeff's passing spread, with the majority of the insults aimed at the Hood, who was reportedly responsible for returning Lil Jeff to his creator. As may be anticipated, the members of Curicology, a subreddit dedicated to analyzing drill culture in Chicago, quickly identified the murderer in order to protect their own. According to discussions on Curicology, Trap City Rob was the shooter. Trap City Rob, also known as iTrap Rob, has been detained several times at the apartment where the gunfire that killed Lil Jeff were fired, which is a major factor in this. Others, however, were examining the footage to recognize the faces of the men Lil Jeff was on the practice with, while others were identifying the shooters. Do you recall the man wearing the red jumpsuit? When fans recognized him as Q50, they began making fun of him for being shot on the drill. Q50, however, denied taking part in the exercise.
Does it make it worse when there's like videos and people reacting to it, and they were trying to say you slipped and fell, and you saying I wasn't even there, right?
I wasn't even there. Stop saying I was done.
Street is scarcely incorrect, even if Q50 may dispute whatever he wants. The man in the yellow shorts who Lil Jeff was pursuing was recognized by the Reddit investigators as Trap City Glenn in the same light. In a startling change of events, it was revealed that Lil Jeff had previously pursued Trap City Glenn after allegedly seeing him slipping at a shop and firing 15 bullets at him. But Glenn always made it through a Lil Jeff ambush. The allegations on the street were then confirmed by an unearthed video that shows Lil Jeff discussing the moment he chased after Glenn at the shop. Well,
Yeah, I love that. That stuff. Too bad is that. He get to see y'all. I'm glad though. He can see y'all talk about him all day.
Oh, Glenn may have died from 15 bullets, but he lived. A fan made a swift response. "Damn, that got to be blessed FR. Grandma been praying for him" type. But after a trial, Lil Jeff was determined to murder Glenn and would not back down. So, he went out once again. He got it this time. Police records reveal that Trap City Rob, whose real name is Robert Coleman, was detained in connection with the murder shortly after the hit, even though he denied the corpse. Because a witness recognized Trap City Rob and located him at the crime site where the gunshot that murdered Lil Jeff occurred. Authorities think there was probable cause for his arrest. The paper claims that surveillance agents saw Trap City Rob carrying a black pistol, coming and going from his flat on Esrotes Avenue. Notably, the surveillance officers knew that Trap City Rob was a convicted felon and a firearm offender who was not allowed to possess a handgun at any time. According to the complaint, Trap City Rob resisted verbal commands and jerked away as the policeman attempted to take him into custody. He stiffened his body with dead weight, which made it hard for the police to handcuff him. According to the complaint, Trap City Rob forced the police to use emergency takedown escort holds and control methods in order to apprehend the arrestee. A loaded black gun dropped from Rob's legs as he struggled with the police. Trap City Rob persisted in resisting arrest at this point until a second surveillance officer intervened and firmly placed cuffs on Rob's wrist. 2 handcuffs were reportedly applied to Trap City Rob because to his stature and resistance, causing injury to his right wrist. But there were repercussions for Trap City Rob's activities. The record states that because of Coleman's behavior and manner on the scene, he was sent straight to 2nd District lockup after being assigned to the squad function. Surprisingly, an inquiry into Trap City Rob's role in the murder did not establish Rob's identity as the gunman. Consequently, the murder accusation against him was withdrawn. However, the gun accusation would stand since he was found in possession of a firearm as a convicted felon, and he would likely serve some time behind bars. But when Trap City Rob was arrested, Reddit saw a flurry of responses and escalating debates. A remark was made by one user: "I ain't well versed on Illinois self-defense laws, but it is insane to me that anybody would be charged with murder in this situation. Was it because they kept shooting him?" Another user answered, "Ain't no for overkill. Probably a couple shots or so, but not 19. Another Reddit user was worried about dropping Rob's gun charge, but the main point of contention was whether or not Lil Jeff's murderer acted in self-defense. According to the comment, "Free for that armed habitual, he proved that day why he made it a habit." The majority of fans, to be honest, have the same viewpoint, which is why Trap City Rob received accolades for continuing to operate after the event. Before CPD began their investigation, it seemed as if the issue had already been resolved on Reddit. The major issue is this: if the police withdrew the murder case against Trap City Rob, then the gunman is still at large. Who may that be? I want to leave you with these words that I came upon on Reddit. I said Rob ain't pull it. The real shooter. We will probably never know because they lying low and not publicly claiming it.